Hey everybody, it's Steve Mealy with day 18 of 30 Ways, 30 Days, and I'm here live in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, making the best of a situation where a couple days ago I talked about disciplining your disappointments, right? And making the best of whatever kind of situation you're in. And so we decided to keep the tour going, even though the Dead & Company are no longer on tour. The tour has been postponed, as many of you know. But here I am. I'm going to sit down and do this, but thought I'd give everybody just a beautiful view of the ocean here, the Atlantic Ocean. I actually grew up not too far, about 2 hours up the road in Sebastian, Florida. But just wanted everybody to see some of this. I see my buddy Aaron, Wayne, thanks for joining. Brad, as always, appreciate you dialing in. Nate, Damien, what's up, buddy? Brad, all is well, man. I tell you what, I can't complain. Nobody would listen, and I got nothing to complain about anyway. And so just wanted everybody to see that. I was trying to find like the perfect scenery. I'm in a little cabana here. I didn't pay for it, so I might get booted out here in a couple of minutes. But today my topic, my friends, is going to be life is a contact sport. Life is a contact sport. And I'm not sure if this was a chapter of a book that I read 25 years ago or it was an entire book. My brother Mike will probably be able to tell me. But think about it. Life is a contact sport. We've all heard things like it's not what you know, it's who you know, and I think there's probably some sort of a balance between that. But it certainly is important to always be making new friends, to always be developing new contacts, and to be expanding your business or your relationships or whatnot. And let's think about some of the most important people in your life. You know, maybe your spouse or your boyfriend or your girlfriend, or some of your best customers or some of your best clients, or maybe if you're in a business like mine, some of your top producers, things like that. How did you meet them? And it was usually, you know, just a random act of two people getting together and shaking hands, and maybe it was a business networking event, maybe it was at a baseball game, whatever it was. I'm certainly glad to call everybody here a friend that I see. I see my friend Taylor Jeffrey. I remember the minute I met Taylor, he picked me up in his car and escorted me around and actually drove me all around Southern California. So you just never know who you're going to meet. I see Mary Beth. Mary Beth, I hope you're having a good time. Give me a like or give me a love if you've watched one of these episodes before. Give me a like or give me a love. I just like to get that going. It builds my confidence as I do these. But today we're going to talk about life is a contact sport. And I don't know that there's anybody better on this subject. And this book was written many years ago, but Dale Carnegie wrote a book called How to Win Friends and Influence People. Win Friends and Influence People. It's an amazing book. And I tell you, life is a lot better when you have people that you care about, and that when you have care about other people as well. And so Dale Carnegie in his book, he talked about several strategies for meeting people and getting to know people and really getting people to like you. And the first thing I want to say, and as many of you know, we're on the tour with the Grateful Dead, and that's the little Grateful Dead symbol there, my little man purse. And one of the themes of the Grateful Dead is to always be kind. You'll hear that a lot. In fact, I've never really met a nicer group of people at any public gathering than you do at Grateful Dead shows, and now the Dead & Company. So not just just be kind to other people. And sometimes we can be so busy and sometimes selfish, caught up in our own stuff, that we don't really stop to think what's going on in somebody else's life. There's a great story in Stephen Covey's book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, where a guy gets onto a subway, and I'm ad-libbing here, it's been a while since I read the book, but he gets onto a subway and his kids are acting all wild, and the guy's not really doing anything, he's just standing there, and this couple are watching him, and they're wanting to say something like, control your kids, and at the very end of the conversation, before they get off, they found out that the guy's wife the mother and the wife had passed away, and they're just coming back, or they're just learning of it, or something like that. So you never know what people are going through. So be kind anyway. Whether someone is kind to you, always just be kind and make the world a better place. But my real topic today, 30 ways, 30 days. These are 30 strategies, 30 tips, 30 things that you can do to have a happier, more productive life. Don't we all want that, right? 30 ideas that can enhance, improve, and really design the life of your dreams. And I'm telling you, a life without other people that you care about is not a life, to me, that's worth living, as much as being surrounded by people that you care about and love about. One of the blessings, why I love the network marketing industry, and I know that there's people watching that aren't in network marketing, or maybe don't get it or don't understand it or don't want to get it or understand it, but what I love most about it is it's really a people business. You get to watch people grow, you get to encourage other people, you get to meet people from all walks of life that you would have never met otherwise. I see some of my friends on here, my friend Brad. I saw Carla here a few minutes ago, Lynn. These are all people, my own girlfriend, Mary Beth, that I wouldn't have met if I was not involved in this industry. And really the whole industry is about expanding your contact base and getting outside of who you know. You know, we all have a circle of influence, and I'll just give you an example. It's called the Rolodex Theory. This was in a book by Harvey Mackay called How to Swim with the Sharks Without Being Eaten Alive. Isn't that a great title? Catchy title. And in his book, he talked about the Rolodex Theory, that we all know, on average, about 200 people by their first name. Now, guys, this book was written way before Facebook and social media, so I think that the numbers are probably closer to 1,000. I think we probably all know about 1,000 people that if we had to either make a list or just identify people, we probably all know 1,000. But do you know what 200? If I know 200, and Brad's one of my 200, and Carla's one of my 200, and Taylor's one of my 200, and Joe, hey Joe, from Wilmington is one of my 200, and they know 200, that's 40,000 people that you have contacts with, right? Now, I know Joe, I was introduced by a mutual friend, Mike, and he called me up and said, hey, this guy's got a radio show, and he wants to interview you on a show. So then Joe and I became friends, and I met some other people through him, and hopefully he's met some people through me, and that's how life works. Life is a contact sport. Whether you're looking to get more deals, whether you're looking to be a better salesperson, whether you're looking to just live a better life, maybe you want to meet the person of your dreams. I'm going to tell you, if you haven't done it already, it's probably just because you do not know enough people yet. So my whole goal for this segment of 30 Ways, 30 Days is for all of us to go out there and to be friendlier, to make new friends, to attend networking events, and do whatever we can to expand our base of who we know. You know, I've had some success in my industry with Legal Shield of network marketing, and I tell you, it's all because I knew somebody that knew somebody that knew somebody that knew somebody that knew somebody. I'll give you just one example. I'm here in Fort Lauderdale, and I haven't actually talked to this guy in many years, but I had a friend named Jay, and I was in my first company called TPN, the People's Network. Jay wasn't part of our team. We weren't part of his team. We were just we saw each other at the events, and he was coming to Atlanta, and we were always friendly with Jay. And my brother Mike and I said, hey, you're going to be in Atlanta. Come crash with us. No big deal. Stay with us for a couple of days, hung out. And he grew to be very fond of us. We grew to be fond of him. And Jay, never wound up getting involved with Legal Shield. I sent him a videotape, showing my age now, but I sent him a videotape. He said, Steve, I'm really not interested. But he called me back a couple months later, and he said, because you've been such a good friend over the years and you've been so persistent with me, I want to introduce you to a guy. And he wound up introducing me to somebody, then introduced me to somebody. And these guys wound up being some of the top producers in our company. Some of you know my friend Steve Baker. We would have never met Steve Baker if it wasn't for my original friend, Jay, and another guy, Mark McDonald, both top producers in our company. Okay, so just trying to give you a few examples and a few stories. Let's see who else we've had join here. Stacy, nice to see you. Lane, thanks for being on. Anthony, Colton, Leonard, Lynn, I see. Pat, I certainly appreciate everybody that's joined me, especially those that have been involved most of the 18 days. So give me a like or give me a love if you watch more than a few of these over the last couple weeks. Okay, so let's talk about getting out and expanding your current circle of influence. How can you do that? First of all, when I first moved to Wilmington, North Carolina, I didn't know a lot of people. In fact, I didn't know anybody there. I knew one person, and it was my real estate agent. Somebody introduced me to her. I didn't know anybody there. But my business partner, Kim, and I, when we moved there, we made a deal that anytime anybody invited us to go out to a social event, it could be a neighborhood kids party, it could be a networking event, it could be anything, that for the first month or two, we would say yes to anything anybody invited us to. And believe me, for me, that was way out of my comfort zone. Okay, so say yes to everything that you're invited to. Okay. The second thing is really make it your business. You know, with social media today and the internet, there's things like Meetup where you can find people with similar interests. I recently started a New York Yankees fan, like a fan club in Charleston, South Carolina, where we can go out and meet each other, and we'll have something in common. So maybe it's where you already have something in common, and when you go to something like this, as excited, as ambitious as we are about our own goals, no matter what your goals are, put them to the side and go up to people and say something like, hey, listen, one of my goals is to help other local business people improve their businesses. Is there a great lead? Is there somebody that's a great lead for you? What would be a great referral for you? Is there anything that you need right there? If somebody said that to me, I would probably say, well, I have a podcast called The 162 Experience, and I'm always looking for great people to interview. That might be somebody that would have success in business, sports, or life. Do you know anybody like that? And I tell you, just by doing that, I've met people, but that's just an example if somebody asked me that question. If somebody asked you that question, what would you say? Okay? let's talk a little bit about Dale Carnegie. Dale Carnegie, who wrote How to Win Friends and Influence People. I'm just going to give a couple of tips of things that I learned from Dale Carnegie. First of all, speak of other people's interests, right? Speak of other people's interests. So if you're around me long enough, you could probably, I love music. I love the New York Yankees. I've been in network marketing for a long time. I love speaking. I'm a big personal development guy. If you start talking about Brian Tracy or Jim Rohn or Mark Victor Hansen or Les Brown, those are just examples of things. And if you know that and you're getting in a conversation with me, those would be good things. Hey, when did you first get into personal development? And it would bring me right back to where that time. Or have you always been a Yankee fan? Yep, I would go right into that. Or what was it like to attend every game in a season, right? But again, what you want to do is that if someone's really good and they're doing it, you just turn it back around and say, well, listen, you haven't told me much about yourself. What makes you tick? What kind of business are you in? And sometimes when we're in business settings like that, we'll take surface answers. Someone will tell you what they do and you say, great. And then we just look for a way to pitch them or something like that. Hold back, okay? Hold back and just say, what exactly does that mean? Or how does that work? Or how long you've been involved in that? Or man, there must be a lot of money in that, or you really look like a happy person. You must really enjoy what you do. Okay, so be real interactive, ask questions, get to know people. So the first is speak in terms of other people's interest. Another one, very closely related, is be interested, not interesting. Be interested, not interesting. In other words, same kind of thing. When they're talking about whatever makes them tick, just stay with that conversation, flow with it a little bit. How long have you been doing that? Man, do you have family that lives around here? And we've all heard of different topics that we can talk about, right? We can talk about their family, their occupation, their recreation, things like that, where they're from as well. And you can learn a lot about people just by asking 2 or 3 or 4 questions about what their values are in life. And so let's see who else we got joined. I got Michael from out in Arizona, Doug Shaw. Doug, man, long time no see. Rob. Doug Sams, we got Nikki. Hey, Nikki, your husband Brad's on too. I don't know if you guys are together right now, but Nikki, always great to see you. Miss you guys a lot. Miss being out in Southern California. Be interested, not interesting, in other people. Speak in terms of their interests. We talk about that. How about using people's first names? I remember our assistant, Karen St. Sever. Many of you know Karen. I remember meeting Karen. We met her at like a business opportunity meeting many years ago. She's been working for us for I think 15, 16 years now. And I met Karen after the meeting briefly. Sometimes we go to the bar or the restaurant after. And I said, "What's your name?" She said, "Karen." I repeated it back, "Karen, great." And the very next week I met her, and she came, and she didn't have a name tag on, but I said, "Hey, Karen, how you doing?" And she looked down to see if she had her name tag on yet, and she didn't. And when I later asked her why, one of the things that she liked about working with us, she said originally that I remembered her name, right? And here I have somebody that's been loyal, that's been an amazing assistant 16 years later here today. And for many of us, we got to get out of our comfort zone. We did a whole day on that about a week or two ago, getting out of your comfort zone. And for me personally, meeting somebody I don't know, for the first few seconds it's a little bit awkward. I always love meeting somebody. Think about the last time you had a great night out, or maybe you traveled somewhere, or you went to a resort, and people say, "How was it?" Very often, maybe you went on a cruise, very often you'll say, "Man, it was great. We met the greatest people." We met the people. We met this couple at the airport today. He's become a Facebook friend. He's been watching a lot of these. Dave and his wife Lynn, right? And he had a Rams shirt on, so we started talking about football, and then we started talking about the Grateful Dead. Turns out we're going to go on in Mexico in February. We're both going to the same resort, so we exchange phone numbers and Facebook and information like that. So I'm telling you, the world is a better place if we make new friends. Life is a contact sport. Let's get out of our comfort zone and meet new people. Okay, we can do it by design. We can do it by never saying no. Our neighbors, right? Again, I'm not somebody that's perfect at this. The reason I teach on this is I need to hear this thing as much as anybody else. But we had. I remember I had a neighbor moved in Wilmington, North Carolina. We bought a big basket over to them and had all sorts of stuff in it, and we developed a friendship and a relationship there that still lasts today. So I see CJ on. In fact, if you remember where you met me, go ahead and post that where we originally met. I'm looking at Mary Beth. I remember the second I met Mary Beth, and if I didn't have to get out of my comfort zone and go over to her and say, "Hi, I'm Steve, what's your name?" Okay? Smiling, making eye contact. There's nothing more attractive, in my opinion, when you're out making new friends or making new business contacts or looking for new clients or just developing new relationships than putting a smile on, making eye contact, I remember back to where I went to Flagler College in St. Augustine, Florida. I literally remember the time we were talking about building self-confidence. And back then, I didn't have a whole lot of self-confidence. And our professor, Jay Mesbehe, was his name. Jay Mesbehe in Flagler College. He was a great professor, taught me a lot. But I just remember him saying, as an exercise, the next time you're walking by somebody, rather than looking down, rather than looking away, make eye contact and hold that eye contact until that person looks at you, and then smile. Right, and say, how you doing? And so maybe it's out of your comfort zone. You know, wherever you are, just take a step forward. You know, little steps, right? Remember the slight edge. The slight edge is doing those little things that seem to make no difference at all in the act of doing them, but it's the compounded effect over time. So maybe you do this as an exercise. Maybe you're going out tonight or tomorrow, but the first 5 or 10 people, no matter what the situation, you just give them a big smile and say, hey, how you doing? Hey, how are you doing? We were at the airport the other day, and people were getting off. We were leaving Charleston to go on this tour, and I was in a pretty good mood. And people were getting off the airport, and we had our dog Desi traveling with us, and it was me and Mary Beth. And as people were coming off the airplane, I was like, hey, welcome to Charleston. Hope you have a great visit. Welcome to Charleston. Hope you had a great visit. And Mary Beth was sort of laughing at me and stuff like that. And it was a little bit out of my comfort zone, but get out of your comfort zone a little bit. For those of you that have been involved in the same company with me I've been involved 20 years now. And by the way, I'm having a little drink here. I'm on the beach. This is, give me a, if anyone's buying, it's vodka soda. But I think the best in our business was a guy by the name of Dave Savula. If anybody remembers Dave or loved Dave, give me a like, give me a love. He was the Dale Carnegie of our company. He was the Dale Carnegie of our industry. And when he walked into a room, and this might be the most significant thing I've said all day, is he makes people feel important. He makes people feel special. He makes people feel cared about. You know, makes people feel loved, and that's such an important skill to be able to have. I wish Dave was still with us. Dave passed about 1.5 years ago, and I wish I could tell him. I did tell him on occasion, but I wish I could just tell him how much, you know, I admired him and how much I looked up to him, because it was just a great way to live. Very often we would be at hotels like a Marriott at the Hilton. They might have like a reception area where you have to be a Hilton Honors member or something to stay up there. And he would, if he didn't know anybody in the room, he'd walk here and he's like, what conference you here with? And he would just start talking to people. And at first he'd catch them off guard, but within a minute he would disarm them with his sense of humor. He would disarm them with his smile. And I'm going to tell you, the world is a better place if we're all kind, if we're all more generous, with spirit, and going out there. So my assignment today, 30 ways, 30 days, is do whatever you can to make new friends. And not for the financial reward, although the financial reward will come, right? What starts the receiving process? The giving process. So be a fun person. Be somebody that goes out there and makes the world a better place by making new friends. And so I'm going to challenge you to make 5 new friends over the next 24 hours. Just go up and meet 5 new people. Okay, so you might have to go to a networking event. You might have to purposely during your lunch hour tomorrow go out there and just shake hands. And again, the end result that you're not looking for is to close the biggest deal you've ever closed or to sign up the biggest distributor that ever signed up. But the idea is to make it a habit of start getting out of your comfort zone a little bit more. And again, you know, I'm not somebody that naturally is extroverted. You know, if I'm on an airplane, all of a sudden and I got my book, I was like, oh, please don't talk to me. So I personally have to practice what I preach here with this as well. So hopefully everybody's having an amazing day. It's Thursday. If anybody wants a once in a while, not every day on this, but I'll give a little NFL tip. And I like the Saints tonight, okay? I like the Saints. If you had $20 to bet, I would bet the Saints against the Falcons. Right now, they're favored by 2.5 points. Now, just this time yesterday, they were even, so I'm not sure if I missed anything in the papers. Take the 2.5 points. Take the Saints, okay? If you're a real betting person, you want to add a second bet, I would take the over. The over's 51, and that's a lot of points. That means it's got to be like 31 to 22, something like that. But if I had to make 2 bets, I would say take the Saints. The second bet would be take the points, okay? So people are watching going, is this a personal development show, or is this guy giving tips on gambling? Well, it's both. It's the Steve Melia Show. It's 30 ways, 30 days that you can have a more productive, fun, exciting, fulfilling, happy. Design your own life, guys. Jim Rohn once said that if you don't design your own life, someone's going to design one for you, and I promise it will not be half as fulfilling as it is today. So do me a favor, if you haven't shared this, share it right now. Share it with your whole Facebook group. Share it with people that you love. I certainly appreciate you. Who else do we have? We got Sarah has joined us, Carla, Michael, Said hello to the Dougs already. Good to see you guys. We got Dave. Hey, Dave, I was just talking about you. Dave, I'm not sure if you got on a few minutes late, but I was just talking about Dave and his wife, Lynn. Jesse Gonzalez. Jesse lives in Palm Bay, Florida. Jesse, I'm in Fort Lauderdale if you want to jump in the car and hang out tonight. But Dave's right. Dave's, this is how we met. Ronit's a New York Yankees fan. I believe we met out in Toronto a couple years ago at a game. My friend Amelia, we met at a luncheon in Wilmington. Kevin Martin and I were guests of, I remember that exact day. I remember the booth you guys were sitting in, and we gave the presentation. And I think it's even funny how you met my friend Danny Voolin. If I'm not mistaken, there was a lost dog, and either you were finding their dog, or he was finding your dog, or something like that. But now Amelia and Kevin are just people that I consider great friends, great people. And Cornelius Iron out in the Illinois area. Cornelius, always great to see you as well. Doug Sams. I met Steve and Mary Beth in Wilmington, but most memorable was in Columbus at 2 a.m. I don't know if I should keep reading this. On the street, and then 7 a.m. the next morning, and since then, thought you were awesome. Well, if you know me and my family, what we're famous for is staying up really late, but we never miss an event. Like if we're up really late hanging out and meeting the people and stuff like that, we'll be the first one on our seats at that event the next day. That's something I'm probably the most proud of. Right? So again, the topic today was life is a contact sport. Let's go out. Let's expand our horizons. If you're hanging out with the same 5 people that you hung out with this time last year, you're not doing this right. You're not doing this yet. Okay, if you're hanging out with the same people you knew 5 years ago or 10 years ago, guys, the world is a beautiful place. There's so many wonderful people out there that we can develop relationships with, but we got to get out of our comfort zone. We got to meet new people. We got to focus on it, and then when we meet them, we got to speak in terms of their interests, right? We need to be interested, not interesting. We need to use their first names, and we really just got to care about people. I'm telling you, at the end of it, I think that, and I'll end with this, as I heard a saying that at the average funeral, only about 5 people will be crying at an average funeral, and the biggest determining factor whether somebody goes from the from the funeral itself to the burial is the weather. Now today would have been a good day to go in Florida, right? Would have been a beautiful day to go in Florida, but if it starts raining or if it starts drizzling, people are ducking out of the lines to go home. So we live our whole life based on what other people think, and then the big day, and some of you know my brother Jim. I talk about him a lot on this. He passed away in 2013, and he had a memorial on a Friday and then the funeral on a Saturday, and I think there were somewhere around 1,000 people at both events, and so that's a testament to how you live your life. It's not how much money we go with, because you're not going to take it with you. It's not how many cars or the houses, but it's the people, it's the relationships that are the gold. So thanks for listening today. I know I rambled on a little bit. Hopefully I made some sense. Life is a contact sport. Go out there and make yourself $1 million contact. God bless. Bye-bye for now.